Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on Liam Jacobs, the former PA, former ANC, former current DA individual that has decided to rejoin the party after leaving them almost exactly a year ago. On the 14th of June 2025, Liam Jacobs decided to leave the DA for the PA. Didn't resign from the party, just announced on social media that he is leaving the Democratic Alliance as a member of parliament because he feels that the DA is abusing him as a colored person for colored votes and that the party doesn't have enough colored representation on leadership positions in the party. Now, what I find fascinating is over the last year, up until about 3 weeks ago, he still had a lot of negative things to say about the Democratic Alliance, and now suddenly he is back with the organization. Now, you are entitled to change your views. You're entitled to change your opinion. You are allowed to join whatever political party you want to join, however many times you want to join them. But that right also then goes to people to criticize you and to call you a flip-flopper. And that is exactly what my opinion of Liam Jacobs is. When he left the DA a year ago, I said that he's making a big mistake joining Gayton McKenzie's party because the PA is around the personality of Gayton McKenzie. If you are in his good books, you'll get a great position. Piss him off and you'll probably get fired. I don't think anybody wants to work under conditions like that. However, with that being said, here we are on the 1st of June 2026, and Liam Jacobs has been welcomed with open arms back into the DA, which it's amazing. Like, imagine a year ago, somebody leaving your organization after you've put so much time and effort into them and even rewarded them with a member of parliament position. And then the way that they say thank you is to resign a couple of months into them being a member of parliament without even having the respect or dignity to notify you that they are leaving. The way that the DA found out was that Liam appeared on a live stream and suddenly Gayton McKenzie and other PA people were surrounding him and he was in a PA shirt. So, I mean, well done to the DA for being able to take that one on the chin. I'm not sure if it's just pure desperation because you really want to get the colored support in the Western Cape and in the Eastern Cape, or whether or not you actually believe that he has changed and all the criticisms that he had of you has suddenly been resolved. Anyway, I want to delve a little bit into the video itself, not showing everything, just showing him being welcomed back with a party, and then also what Jordan Neal-Lewis had to say with his little speech. But before we do that, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you anything. Smashing the like button and sharing this video is also free, so that'll be greatly appreciated. All right, let's have a look at what went down.
We are home!
Look at Jordan jumping like that.
Finally!
Yes, sir. So my hug.
We are home!
That's exactly, by the way, what he said when he joined the PA. He said, I am home. He said exactly the same thing a year ago when he left the DA for the PA. And now that he's with the DA again, he's saying, I'm home. How many homes do you have, buddy? Seems like you've got a couple of homes over here. But there's one specific, I want to focus on what Jordan had to say over here. Let's listen.
Come on, brother. Liam, I want to say to you, welcome home, buddy. It is amazing to have you back in the DA. Let me say that it would be absolute hypocrisy of us if we expected no one to ever make a mistake in life.
Sorry, what? What did you just say there? Make a mistake. Okay.
Every one of us was in our 20s once, and that's the point of your 20s, man. You've got to learn, you've got to grow, you've got to figure out who you really are.
Oh wow, I was in my 20s when that 2010 video came out. There was no mention of this by the FLC or by the federal executive, you know. I suppose, it only counts to specific individuals, that can benefit the party. So,
And I remember when you left the DA,
Yeah.
Helen said something profound.
yeah, I don't care what Helen has to say. Helen is the one that wrote a book, Go Woke, Go Broke, and the very first opportunity she had to show that she means what she says, the federal executive kicked me out of the DA. So don't really have any time for what Helen has to say because she double speaks quite often. What I would like to focus on now, though, I find it interesting how Jordan says that it would be hypocritical of the DA if they don't forgive people after they make a mistake. Yeah, like with me from 2010. And then secondly, when you are in your 20s, you are supposed to make mistakes. Once again, me. But it doesn't count for Renaldo Gouws. I'm wondering is it because it's Renaldo Gouws? Is it because I'm white? What is it? Because even to this day, right now, the DA refuses to share the minutes of that federal executive meeting with me. The question I have, though, is if you are saying that it would be hypocritical of us if we didn't forgive, not that I want forgiveness. I don't want to go back to the DA. I just want to make that crystal clear. I'm very happy with being with the Freedom Front Plus. I have found my home. But I find it laughable that Jordan Lewis wants to say we would be hypocrites if we don't. But why don't you then share your minutes of the FedEx meeting with me? Why are you rejecting me being able to see what deliberations took place in order for you to get rid of me? But then again, rules for thee, not for me, right? What I want to focus on lastly is that Liam Jacobs, in his short political career that started in 2021, he started off with the ANC at university with the student council. Then 2 years later, he moved from the ANC to the Democratic Alliance. And then 2 years later, he moved to the PA. And then 1 year later, he is now back with the Democratic Alliance. And I just wanted to focus on why he left and what made him come back. Now, we don't know yet why he came back because the DA hasn't released it in a press statement. He hasn't said anything as to why he's back. And it's quite unfortunate that the DA is willing just to tell people that Liam Jacobs is back, but not what was agreed to, what was discussed. Because Liam Jacobs was a member of parliament before he left. So will he now get that position back? What is happening here? Because if he suddenly gets a position, then in my humble opinion, this was clearly a case of him not getting a position at the PA, him coming back on his hands and knees and begging the DA for a position again. So we'll see what plays out over here. But it's very clear to see that what Liam Jacobs said during the period when he was away from the DA could not have been resolved in 1 year. So those issues are still there, but Liam Jacobs is willing to overlook it. And I want to focus on some of the things that he said because it's really important. Let's have a look. All right, so the reasons that Jacobs left, he said Jacobs cited feeling used by the DA, particularly in how the party handled his role and identity as a colored politician. He said he knew I was being used by the DA and could not remain part of it for another day. After personal reflection. Well, 1 year later, you're back with him now. He highlighted issues with the DA's approach to his colored identity and representation, suggesting he felt more aligned with the PA's emphasis on identity politics and community issues. He described feeling finally free and at home in the PA. Strange, it's exactly what he said when he went now back to the DA. Said, like, I'm finally at home again. Some analysts and reports framed his exit as part of a broader pattern of racial identity tensions or departures of black colored leaders from the DA. There is another one that I wanted to focus on here, which is what he said over the last year. So he said being used as a token colored politician. He said that multiple times. Lack of real colored representation. He highlighted that despite colored voters forming a large part of the DA support base, the party had no colored ministers or deputy ministers in the government of national unity. He referenced this as evidence that the DA takes colored communities for granted while using figures like him for optics. Could not remain part of the party. He declared, I could not be part of that for another day, framing his exit as a moral or personal breaking point after reflection on how the DA handled its role and identity, and then DA use of colored leaders for attacks. In broader context around his move, it was noted that the DA deployed colored leaders primarily to criticize parties like the PA rather than engaging on policy, which aligned with Jacob's sense of being weaponized. So these are all things that Liam Jacobs said was the reason that he left the DA. And my question now is, are there colored ministers in the DA? No. Are there more colored people in the leadership structures of the DA? No. So what exactly has changed that has caused Liam Jacobs to see the light and return to the Democratic Alliance? Because here's the thing. There's one of two things that could be at play here. Either the DA sent Liam Jacobs to be an agent for them in the PA, which I don't believe, or the PA has now sent Liam Jacobs back to the DA to go and see what the election strategy is. Both don't bode well for Liam Jacobs. And I can tell you now that people in the DA will not trust Liam Jacobs. They will suspect that he is either there to spy on the DA or they just don't trust him anymore because he threw them under the bus a year ago. And I know that is a new feeling for the DA because they are usually the ones that throw people under the bus. But it is just so mind-bending that Liam Jacobs, with so much conviction a year ago, said that he was leaving the DA because of all the reasons I just gave you. And in less than a year, none of those things that he was so upset about has actually changed, but yet now he's back with the DA again. So is it really based on principle or is it based on convenience because he needs a position and he thought that Gayton McKenzie was going to give him one? Remember, he was going to be the mayoral candidate for the West or for Cape Town, the mayoral candidate for Tshwane, then for Joburg, then he was going to go back to being a member of parliament for the PA. So I think that he was just like, I just want a position to earn a salary and this is not happening in the PA. And then he ran back to the Democratic Alliance. Now, there are some people that will praise him and say, well done, Liam, you've seen the light. But ultimately, you have to ask yourself, why did he make these statements about the DA and say that he couldn't stay there for one day longer and that he's finally at home now with the PA? And in less than a year, he says exactly the same thing when he returns to the DA, and the DA welcomes him with a massive party and even the leader being there, and then an official press statement by the DA that ironically promotes him towards the colored people once again. So exactly what he said, the reason why he left the DA, in their press statement, they used his coloredness in order to promote that he's back with the DA. So I don't really know what's going on. I think that this is a desperate attempt by the DA to try and stop the bleeding with their colored support. And I don't think that they truly trust Liam Jacobs. I don't think that he will have a high-ranking internal position in the party because they just can't trust him after everything that he said. And ultimately, it's going to be interesting to hear what Gayton McKenzie and the PA has to say, because a lot of people didn't support Liam Jacobs joining the PA because they said exactly what happened now was going to happen. So I would like to get your take on this. Do you think that Liam Jacobs saw the light and that he is back with the DA because he truly belongs there? Or do you think that he is a flip-flopper and he's willing to go anywhere as long as the most important thing is his own interests? Because like I said, 2021, ANC, 2023 DA, 2025 PA, and 2026 back at the DA. Make up your own mind. But that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to smash that like button, share this video far and wide. Don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely free. However, if you'd like to contribute financially to this channel, you can do so by clicking the $ below and choosing an amount. That's called a super thanks chat, and it'll be appreciated. Or you can become a member of this channel by clicking the join button below, and that'll cost you 46 Rand a month, and that is in support of me and this channel, and it will be appreciated. And that's all I got to say, everybody. Till later. Cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. Wait,